Welcome, everybody, to Strife's Sanctum podcast. I'm your host, Citizen Strife, and though I've been focusing a lot on, Japanese RPGs and visual novels and the like, I decided I wanted to change it up every once in a while, and I thought about going into very retro games, and the thought occurred to me to do Super Mario and the NES titles. But I also, for my own shits and giggles, wanted to do Super Mario World because that's my favorite and I liked it more, and I just said I wanted to do that. So, turns out, thankfully, Super Mario got a remake in the Super Mario All-Stars pack. So, we're going to be talking about all 4 to 5 of those games. But I'm not going to do it alone this week for once because I have a guest. One of my best streamer friends, if not my best streamer friend, LeighClipse has joined us to talk about Super Mario because she's better at it than I am. How you doing today?
Not.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. You saw me die to the first Goomba in the, what was it, the second world? I know that has happened. I'm pathetic.
Okay, I'm not going to say I'm better at it than you because I really don't think I am.
Well, you play it more than I do. So it's good that you're here.
I have played it a lot, yes.
But that's why you're here, because you probably know more about it than I do, which is also a good thing. But the way, for anyone who's curious, we ended up meeting through a mutual streamer friend of our own. I wandered into a channel known as Bud Paget, and he was playing Final Fantasy VII, a game I know very well, imagine that. And Leigh was a mod, I believe, and still is, over on his channel, and many other channels, actually. But several, and you're very good at it. But I started playing Final Fantasy X when I started streaming, because I had a little bit of it was like a few years ago, but Leigh was one of the first few people to go, hey, I like this guy. I will stick around and watch this guy. And I guess it's just been one of those things where we never stopped being friends, I suppose, which is rare, but I like that. That means I'm doing something good, because I haven't run you off yet.
No, you haven't, technically.
This interview might do that, but we'll save that for another time. Hopefully I don't put my foot in my mouth, because I'm usually good at that. But
okay, look, if I've stuck around through Poppy-Po, I think you're stuck with me.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, this will be the first time I've ever actually interviewed somebody, so people on YouTube, you just bear with it in terms of, like, if I struggle or anything like that, and let me know and let us know if this is something that you would enjoy and see more guests, because I know a lot of people. Leigh certainly knows a lot of people, and there are a lot of games that we could talk about. There are a lot of games we could keep talking about. Final Fantasy VIII and Kingdom Hearts included, yeah. But for today, I wanted to stick with Super Mario, because I think Mario is one of those, like, ubiquitous things, like a McDonald's or a Bugs Bunny, or like you look at Mario, you've seen it, or you've played a Mario game, you've played it, because, like, every Nintendo console has those. It's almost frightening. I think aside from, like, the Wii, like, every console's had, like, a Mario game to start off with, or at least in those initial years, like, you would have Super Mario 1, and then Super Mario World, and then Super Mario 64. It's just like, you can't not play a Nintendo console without playing Mario, and it's like, everybody knows what Mario is, and I'm like, if you don't like Mario, what's wrong with you? And it's that sort of thing. It's like Mickey Mouse. It's like everybody knows what it is. So I wanted to get insight from somebody who plays it with a lot more vigor and, well, skill than me, because I'm not the best at Mario, though I played it way back. You're somebody who's played it a lot more recently, so that helps. And
played Mario 3 more recently than anything.
Hey, Mario 3 is great.
I love Mario 3.
Yeah, but on that subject, actually, what is it that you do, like, introduce us to who LeighClipse is and what you do in gaming.
I do a little of everything. I don't do that many platformers actually because I kind of suck at platformers. But I've streamed games from Super Mario 3 to Dino Crisis and Resident Evil. Um, I like a lot of the old school games like the PlayStation 1 era, and the Nintendo and Super Nintendo era. And I also like to do a lot of laid back things. I've streamed myself coloring. I've streamed a lot of The Sims 4 and Stardew Valley. I love anything that's like chill and laid back, and I like to try to create that atmosphere when I'm, hosting a stream for a group of people because it makes it more fun to just be able to hang out and make bad jokes about something and just, be really laid back about
Or
it.
make bad jokes about other streamers when people walk in and talk about other streamers.
Oh, I try not to go there because
Everybody else does.
I let everybody else do that. I'm the nice one.
Yep. But again, I think that also speaks to Mario as well because Mario's always been one of the easier platformers.
Probably why I've still been playing it.
I mean, it's still difficult in spots, especially like in the final worlds and things like that, or even like the original Mario games are harder in general. But you play that versus, say, Mega Man or even Donkey Kong with all the barrels, or oh god, I'm trying to think.
Oh.
Sonic is kind of half and half, but that sort of thing. Mario isn't meant to be super easy like, say, a Kirby game is. Kirby is like on the, you're not going to die today. Don't bother. Just have fun. Mario is like, you're going to die if you're stupid, so watch out. But yeah.
Stupid like that one mistake that got clipped on my channel of I went to do a level in Dark World 8 on Super Mario 3 and I accidentally put on the frog suit. Ended up dying very spectacularly.
Wait, did you jump into a pit?
No, one of the little flame thingies got me and then I fell off of the board. But it was that one that moves really fast.
Okay.
And you're hopping around from one small little tiny air strip to the next.
Oh, okay. So it was one of the oh god, it was one of the airship level things. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because that's the thing people forget about the frog suit is it's actually kind of floaty, and if you're not prepared for it, you're actually kind of like, I missed time to jump. Oh shit, I'm in a wall.
I was trying not to get pinned in between a lighter and the wall, and went to jump, and ended up getting hit by the lighter, and then falling to my death.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it was
and
so bad.
yeah, and there are auto scrolling levels too, which is even worse.
And that one was one of the auto scrolls, but it went by super speed instead of regular speed.
That's the one thing I don't like about Mario is just the auto scrolls. It's just, I get why they make them and it adds a challenge, but it's like those other platformers. I remember, what was it? Kid Chameleon, I think, had this like level where it was this gigantic, like, think of Jason if it was like a giant wall of death, right? It would just look like a bunch of spikes and scissors and saws and stuff coming at you. That's what auto scrolls feel like. It's just like, why? You're putting pressure on the player to do something. I get why, but that's the one thing I hate Mario for is auto scroll. But, that's just me. But let's see here. Did you start as a gamer? Like when, say, a Nintendo console came out, whether it was the Nintendo NES or the Super Nintendo, or was it something that you kind of gravitated to later?
When the Nintendo first came out, I was definitely still a child. I didn't have one. I had to go to a neighbor's house whenever I wanted to try to play. And it wasn't even guaranteed if I went to that neighbor's house that I'd be able to. Mostly that neighbor would, it was just somebody who liked to show off the fact that their mother would go into debt every year buying them the latest of everything for Christmas.
Oh,
One of those.
okay.
So,
So it ended up being
um,
like a vanity project kind of thing. It's like, look
it
at this
ended up
shiny toy.
it ended up being one of those things to where even my mom got hooked on it. So, like when my mom got hooked on it, that's when she made sure that we had one in the house.
Okay.
And
Wait,
then
she got hooked in before you guys did? Wow.
no, we did, but then she saw how much fun we were having with it. And she always liked playing stuff like Ms. Pac-Man and things in the arcade.
Oh.
So she decided she was going to get one, and then she tried out Super Mario Brothers. And the first Super Mario Brothers was the only one that we could ever get her to play. She wouldn't really try any of the other ones. She just got hooked on that first one.
Reminds me of my mom. Like, she would never play any other game, but you sit her in front of like the old like Legend of Zelda Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time, and she will, or at least she used to, not now in her like 50s and 60s, but man, growing up, that was like our thing, because like my brother and I were into like Punch Out and stuff like that. That was my vivid memory, was Punch Out, not so much Super Mario. But when
Oh.
World came out, like, that shut me up, right? I was Mario after that, but Punch Out was like my thing, and I never did beat Tyson legit, because how could you, unless you're a achievement hunter person? I'm not that person.
Me either.
Ugh. Yeah. So I do remember beating him once while I was half drunk, but that's because I had save states. But I never since. But yeah, it's cool because like we're in an age where video games are so widespread that everybody's played them. Or if you played the Wii, it's like everybody has a Wii Fit in their Wii Sports. I mean, like everybody had a Wii Sports for something. I don't know if that was the thing back then though. Like, my concept as a kid was, oh my god, these video games are the best thing ever, and look where it got me.
Oh, right.
but I mean, it ended up being one of those things where, like you said, if your family was into it, well, they had the money, so yeah. Now we have the money and we can buy all their stuff for ourselves, or I suppose
Yeah.
kids.
By the time I hit high school, we had a Nintendo and we had a Super Nintendo.
Okay.
And my friends were discovering PlayStation.
Oh yes, PlayStation. That's the thing. Like, I was not into Nintendo 64 for anything except Ocarina of Time. I've not played Super Mario 64. I can't believe I'm saying that on a channel.
I honestly did a couple of times. These kids I used to babysit when I was in my really early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
They had one. Their dad had a PlayStation. Their mom got them an N64 so that they could have some kind of video games to be introduced to.
Okay.
And I tried Super Mario 64 because they couldn't really play it. They were always like, "Can you help me do this?" And I'm just like, "Okay, I'll try." And that game gave me the worst headaches.
Was it something to do with the 3D? Because that was the first one to do it, I think.
Well, it was not just the 3D, but I was constantly fighting the camera. No matter what I did with the camera, I was having to fight with it. And I just kept getting dizzy and getting headaches, and oh my god, it was terrible. That was one of the first games I ever played that made me motion sick.
Yeah. Well, reminds me not to play it.
It was awful.
Yeah, I'll stick to YouTubing that, I suppose. I don't want to get sick.
I mean, it's bad enough. I watched Bud play it extensively. I watched a couple of other streamers play it, and I still used to have to take breaks from that because sometimes even just watching it makes me dizzy.
Yeah, and that's the thing that drew me to doing this about the 2D Marios first, was I don't discredit what they did, But whether it's Zelda, whether it's Mario, whether it was Mega Man, whether it was Donkey Kong, like I was always into 2D. And
Me
par-
too.
part of it for me was there's less on the screen to get stuck by, but it's also like when you're trying to do a puzzle, like you see what the puzzle is, you know where to go, you know how to get out of there. In a Mario level, you know where the enemies are, you don't have the camera swooping around to get you confused. There's less you have to jump over because you see it and you're there. And that's why when it became 3D, I kind of went towards PlayStation because I wasn't the RPG fanatic I am now, but like something about watching Zelda all the time, even then I was just like, I don't want to play Mario 64. I'm sure there are people who do. And again, this is not me bitching about Mario in 3D. I'm just simply saying that I'm coming from a perspective of somebody who appreciates 2D even now as opposed to growing up. But
And one thing with the 2D games you could always count on, until Super Mario All Stars at least, was that you didn't have to worry about something in the background being an illusion, and you could actually jump on it.
An illusion?
Oh yeah, have you ever seen Super Mario All Stars?
Well, yeah, I know that the color scheme was like all green and like a lot of like browns, and that's the thing is I liked it.
They gave it a whole for Super Mario All Stars on the Super Nintendo. They gave everything a graphics overhaul, and they created like these really pretty backgrounds and stuff. So it would get to the point where you'd have to make sure that what you're trying to jump on wasn't part of the background.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. The optical illusion kind of thing, and okay, I could see that. I remember stuff like Epilepsy Falls in Mario 2, which was our code name for the waterfalls that would happen all over the screen, and it would just be like, no, no, no.
Especially World 3-1.
Ugh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so as bright and colorful as Mario is, there is some things that are just like, eh. But to that anyway, if you were to like rank all of them, now that's Mario 1, Mario Lost Levels, Super Mario 2, 3, and World, and you were to give a reason as to why, what would be your favorite, and then what would be your least favorite?
My favorite is Super Mario 3. That's the one that just has the most replayability to me. Then my next one would be Super Mario 2, because I just had so much fun playing that game. And I'm actually not a fan of Super Mario World. But I have played it. I don't think I actually got all the way to Bowser's Castle, but I never actually beat Bowser. My sister did, but I didn't.
What would you say would be the reasons for that?
I don't know. I told you I suck at platformers.
No, I'm just curious because as much as I like Super Mario 3, something about
just couldn't get into it. Some of the mechanics were, I couldn't get a grip on all the new mechanics they added.
Okay.
Like I couldn't get the hang of spin jumping off of things.
Okay,
So I
yeah.
was constantly dying when I should have been spin jumping. It
Okay.
was just one of those, like, I just couldn't get the hang of it.
Okay. Yeah, and it's also an easier experience than 3. As good as 3 is, it has a weird thing for me where and I think Donkey Kong has this thing too, where every level is a gimmick. Like it's not as overt in World as it is in Country, but I find with say Super Mario Brothers 3, whenever you go to a level, it's like it's not just this kind of world. It's also we've got a new enemy or type or something, or we've got this crazy puzzle like that one where you have to have a leaf and go up the right part of the hill, up the ceiling, and then into the pipe to end the level. Or isn't there like a lake castle in 3 where it's all bluish and crap, but it has all these blocks and you have to hit the blocks all the way at the bottom and then run around and then go around, and it's just that's the thing that drove me nuts. Was it's more gimmicky than the other games. I like the gimmicks, but going back and playing them, it's always kind of like there's a bit too much going on, and the time limit. I mean, there's time limits in the world too, but it's just harder. Maybe that just says something more about me than I don't like hard games. I don't want to play this no more. It sucks. Go away. No.
And I know what you mean. World 3 introduced this like freaking gigantic fish that eats you whole.
Big Bertha, you suck.
Know it.
And then, of course, in the movie, she ends up being this just big, gigantic lady because the movie was that movie.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to talk about that movie sometime, unless you want to talk about it now.
I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid. Oh my god.
Oh boy.
But I will say one thing though. Back to the original question. We kind of got sidetracked when I said I don't like Super Mario World. I like to pretend Lost Levels doesn't even exist.
That's fair.
Because that game is really, really super ridiculously freaking hard.
The only thing I know about Lost Levels is that it has the poison mushroom. That's all I ever want to know about it. And I know there are people that are going to be like, dude, it's so awesome because it's so much harder. I'm like, you do you.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people who likes to just go stabbing herself for no reason.
Oof. Fair enough. So we did Super Mario 3, Super Mario World. Actually, you said 2, right? You said 2 was after World. Like, and you said you said 2 was
3
better,
and then 2.
Yeah, why would you say 2?
2 was a lot of fun to me. It wasn't as much fun as 3, but it was still a lot of fun. I had a tremendous amount of fun playing that.
Did it ever bother you that it was not really like the same Mario game that everybody kind of knows it's Doki Doki Panic reskinned, but
at the time that I was playing it, nobody knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, at the time that I played it, nobody knew that.
I don't know if any of us knew that. It probably became a thing in like Nintendo powers because the power of the internet. We know everything now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I've even seen a video of the original Doki Doki Panic, and it was freaking cute.
Yeah, it was this weird, like almost Egyptian or Persian style game, which says a lot why there was so much sand and like weird phantom imagery, and I liked it. If I had one criticism, I would say that the bosses were very repetitive, and as much as I like Ostro or, well, Birdo now, I wish they had more variety, because if you get through one of the levels, you fight the mouse dude with the bombs, and then you fight the three-headed dragon, and then, oh my god, they're back again. I'm like, that's a little but then again, Super Mario 3 had all the Koopa kids who were almost always the same. I mean, they're a little different. They're a little different, but you can see why it's like, why would one thing be repetitive and not coming back and say this thing's also repetitive? So, I'm covering my bases, so people don't come after me because YouTube. Anyway, but I do like the fact that it is so different. And without it, you wouldn't have stuff like Shy Guys. You wouldn't have stuff like the Ninja dudes. You wouldn't have Birdo. I mean, I love Birdo, as weird as that sounds. Because Birdo is like iconic in that sense, like you know what it is as soon as you see it. And then I saw it again in Super Mario RPG, and it's like, oh yes, it's Birdo. It's one of those things. And now, like, a lot of the stuff that we take for granted was like super new back then. Like, and this will lead into my next question. Did you use Peach all the time like everybody else, or did you like to use other people? Because Peach is OP, and I always used her.
Me too.
Okay. I just didn't know what our baselines were.
Dude, when I play Mario Kart, I use Peach.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, that's the thing about Peach, if nobody's played it, is she has a hover ability. Don't ask me how she can hover in that skirt, but she's able to do it. But that's a thing that she's able to do, and she's able to just there's like a level where you have to climb over a magic carpet and fly it to the rest of the stage. She gives you an extra second or two to hover. It's like unfair because you can do that. The next best is Luigi because of that flutter kick, but he's a little like weird in that sense. Mario was well-rounded, and then Toad is able to like pick up turnips and crap super fast, and he's tiny, so he might be good in that stage with wasn't there that stage with the ice level with those birds that kept coming after you? Like, he'd be good in that. Not gonna lie, I think he'd be good in that. But I'm also wondering, and maybe this is something you can add, is like, if you were to use, were you the type to just use one character, or would you mix and match?
I pretty much only just used Peach.
That's the best answer. And I don't care if you disagree with me, Internet. That's the best answer.
Hey, when I was growing up and I first got my hands on Super Mario 2, and I'm like, I can play as a girl. I'm so happy. I'm like, I don't have to be this little fat plumber. I can be a girl.
Oh.
Like, to a girl growing up in the 80s, that was everything. All of your video game character heroes were all guys.
So,
and if you played video games, you had to play as a guy.
So now that I'm on that subject, I'll veer into Metroid. Did you know that Samus was a girl, or were you aware of it?
I never played Metroid.
Okay, I got spoiled on it because
I found out from a magazine.
Okay.
That this character I'd never heard of was actually a girl.
I look at that and I laugh sometimes because the way it happens is you finish the first game, and the best ending, she strips, and then you see a bikini and long hair, and I'm like, well, one, that's very sexist and very tacky. Two, like, what do you care if Samus is a girl, right? It's like, and this is coming from a guy who likes, the strong female characters who like to kick ass. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I'm with you in that sense. Like, playing as Peach there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Then there shouldn't be. But there's this stigma even still that it's like, people can't play as girls. I'm like, who are you to decide that? If I want to play as a girl, I will. And in your case, you enjoy doing that because Peach is awesome.
Hey, you're looking at the person who likes to make Link to the Past randomizer seeds with Sailor Moon.
You do? Oh yeah,
I do.
I forget. Was it like as much of an anime fan as I have, I don't actually know their names. Which one is the main one? Is that the one that's in there? Because the randomizers get like specific sprites, and you're saying you made a Sailor Moon one, or you chose the Sailor Moon one?
I chose the Sailor Moon one.
Okay, because I wasn't sure which one it was, because I'd imagine it would be the blonde-haired one. And I bet people in the comments are going to be like, dude, you don't know Sailor Moon? What kind of a fan are you? I'm like, I didn't watch that. Sorry. But Sailor Moon sounds like something I should be into. But that's awesome, though, because, again, like, you're able to choose what you want to be. And Super Mario 2, more so than any of the other games, allows you to do that. Because in 1, you're Mario. If you're Luigi, you look like Mario, but with green. I remember in 4, like, Luigi is Mario's sprite. He doesn't have the big, tall, thin Luigi sprite. He looks like Mario, just green, Yeah. So I can... Go ahead.
In the see, that's the thing. In Super Mario, the original Super Mario, and in Super Mario 3, that's exactly what you had. You had the sprites were completely identical except for the colors of their clothes. Super Mario 2 was the first game where Luigi looked a little bit different than Mario. But then for some reason, Super Mario 3, they went back to the original way of doing it where he looked just like Mario.
Yeah, and I don't think it changed until they were actually able to do, like, the 3D graphics and such. But they didn't have Luigi in Super Mario 64 or any of the games, to be honest, which I'm sure is annoying. But then again, they don't use Waluigi in anything, despite the internet complaining about it. So who knows?
I know.
Let's see here. Are you a fan of Mario or are you a fan of Luigi more?
See, that's a loaded question. Because
Is it?
I used to have to play as Luigi all the time. So for a while, playing as Luigi was my preference just because my sister had to be Mario at all costs. She always wanted to be player 1.
That's mean.
So I had to play as player 2 all the time. So I got stuck being Luigi, and I eventually grew to like it. To the point where, like, if I was playing with my sister, I couldn't play right if I wasn't Luigi. It was weird. It's a family dynamic thing.
Yeah. So we talked about Peach, we talked about Mario, we talked about Luigi. Do you have any issues with Toad as a character, or is it just he's there?
Struck me as like really hyperactive. And then Super Mario 3 cemented that.
Can you do a Toad voice?
No, and don't try to make me.
Fair enough, because I remember I tried to play Super Mario RPG and a guy was expecting me. I forget what they were trying to do. I was kind of basing it off of Game Grumps at the time because I was into Game Grumps when I played Super Mario RPG, and they did the Toad voice, and then other big name streamers were doing the Toad voice, and it just became a thing to do. And I'm like, that physically hurts. Don't do that. So yeah. I can test. Don't do that.
I mean, I get it. I've got a girly voice, but I can't do that with my voice.
I wasn't saying that was because that's why. I was just curious. Do you have any, like, for all of the games, do you have any, like, power-ups or particular levels or, like, anything that you remember that just jump out at you as, like, oh my god, I can't not remember that because this?
Well, in Super Mario 3, world number 4 was pretty unique.
Ah, yes.
I loved the giant world. I loved the giant world.
I think that goes down as, like, everybody's favorite.
That was my super favorite at the time.
Yeah, I think it's between Skyworld and maybe Waterworld, but like you said, Big Bertha sucks, so maybe not.
Oh. And the Tanuki suit was like the best power-up ever.
Yes.
I freaking love the Tanuki suit.
Well, it's the only thing you can use to defend yourself against stuff that will kill you, and it's like, can't catch me. Oh, I can go now.
I mean, just in case the tail whip misses, you can turn yourself into a little statue for a second. So great.
The power up I like, other than, well, obviously the P-Wing, because that's unfair and I get to use it, is like,
oh yeah,
like P-Wing and cape. Like, if you give me an open cape, I will use an open cape, because if I get a cape and I get an open world, like in World, I'm just like, oh, that's done. I don't have to worry. That is the one thing I will say about World, is the cape makes everything almost kind of pointless, and you miss a lot of the world or a lot of the level because you can just get through it, and the P-Wing, to a lesser extent, does the same thing. In 1 and 2, you had to play the worlds or you had to warp out of them, so you're kind of like, well, even if you warp out of them, you're still stuck, so getting to know that Tanuki suit's actually really good. I remember the Karibu shoe.
Oh my god, I love that little shoe.
I don't know if they brought it back for any of the re-releases, but you can tell that, like, a lot of people were like, why is it only in one level? It's so stupid. But...
It showed up, like, in a couple of, like, 1 or 2 levels, but it was only in that one world, though.
Yeah.
And I loved that shoe. It made everything so much fun.
Trying to remember.
Hopping around in a big green boot.
Do you have any, like, when you think back to Mario as a whole, like, do you have anything that stands out to you as something that I really like this about Mario, or I just, no, it's not my thing, I don't like it, and I wanted to get it off my chest? So kind of liking and disliking the series, or even just something specific about a game that just comes to mind?
One of the power-ups is a star. I just like stars.
Yeah, the star is the only thing I hate about stars is they don't last long enough.
I know.
Because you get it and you're like, I want to use it. But
exactly.
Yeah.
But just the fact that you can sit there and just have this cute little star be like your total invincibility power up.
Yeah, and it turns out one of the levels in Super Mario 3, you remember that level with all the like the chompy dudes and you have to run through that's
you
where
have to have a star to be able to get the next star.
Yeah, and if you don't have like you can get hit once if you come in as like big Mario, but after that it's just like no. That's why I dread playing 3 over and over, is because I know that level comes. I know it's like level 7, so you expect it to be harder, but they design that.
And at some point you're gonna need to take the hit anyway, because some of those stars you can only get to as small Mario.
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the thing I liked about stuff like Big World and Giant World, was like, yeah, you have the giant hammer bros that wrecks the ground, but he never like is out there just, I can't be stopped. Like in like Super Mario 1, you see a hammer bro, you're just like dead in your tracks. At least with 3, you're sitting there going, oh, it's a hammer bro. Well, this could suck, but I could get through it. Or like a boomerang bro. But man, you see those in 1, like 1 doesn't give you much, if any, leeway. And I get it. That's how they were designed. You know, it was the first Mario game. I get that. But man, you see those hammer bros. I think it's like near the end of Bowser's Castle, or near the end.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you got to run right through them. And if you don't have a suit or something, you're screwed. And it's like, At least with 3, you see the hammer bros and you see the boomerang bro, and you're like, well, it could be problematic, but it's not the worst thing. Anything else jump out at you, like good or bad, about Mario?
Probably just the fact that Bowser's always kidnapping the princess. Like, are they like, what the heck is it with the? Is he that power hungry, or are they dating, or what?
I don't know. I think Odyssey is probably the closest they've ever come to answering that question, and even then, I'm just like, unless they're actually secretly dating, I don't know the answer to that. And part of me doesn't want to know. I'm just like, I get it. Like in a narrative sense.
Well, I mean, in the beginning, it was pretty obvious. Like, he was blatantly kidnapping her.
Well, yeah.
But at what point did that turn into, so are you coming by to kidnap me this week?
Yeah, that's the joke. Like, after that, when they got into Super Mario RPG, I mean, we might as well talk about Bowser now. Bowser doesn't get great until you see the clown car, and then he doesn't get super great until you see him in Super Mario RPG, because he's such an idiot. And then you get to use him in your party, and you get to throw Mario at enemies, because that's something Bowser would do. I think after like RPG, like Bowser stopped becoming the I'm here to kidnap it to like, do you want to go karting today? It's like he's such a like fascinating goofball that it's like they take the piss out of him, because you know that like Mario as a design, like every time he's going to beat Bowser, he's always going to do it, and they make that's part of the fun. But unfortunately, way back, it's like they don't have that as the story, so Bowser kind of comes off as like not much. He's just a big dinosaur dude. But I mean, that's fine, because you got to remember, these games came out in 1985 to 1991, so I guess I can cut them a little bit of slack, you know, because even stuff like Final Fantasy wasn't like super intricate story-wise, and you're asking a platformer to make Bowser some amazing character. Like, no. But you're right.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm like, Link and Mario have to go to a bar one day and just talk about every situation that they've had where they've had to save Zelda or save Peach and wonder, what are we doing with ourselves? Do you want to trade? Like, I'll take saving Peach for a day if you'll take saving Zelda for a day. And then Mario is like, but I don't have hook shots. You can't. I have fire. Yeah, but that was dumb. Anyway, but
It's like, I don't need a hook shot. I got a Tanuki suit. This is Mario we're talking about here.
Yeah, and again, I think as a way to circle back to the beginning, this is why I wanted to do this, because I think sometimes I get in that mindset that there's only one way of thinking about a game, or there's only one way to play a game. And that's something as whether we're YouTubers or streamers or we watch other people do them, like everybody has a different reason for playing a game. And I think the thing you told me was, I get to play as Peach. That's amazing. Like, I love the stars. That's amazing. And then my reasoning for playing a game would be like, I don't want to play a platformer. I'm going to die. But again, it's like, I still love those games, right? So everybody comes into these games thinking different things and having different thoughts, and we get to kind of share them and you know, talk about growing up being fans, right?
I'm all for anything that lets a girly girl have a chance to be a girly girl.
Well, I wanted to.
That was my absolute favorite thing about Super Mario 2 was I didn't have to save the princess. I could be the princess.
And it was all a dream, but I still remember it happening.
It was all a dream.
Yeah, Mario 0, Luigi 0, Toad 0, Peach everything, and then it was over. But since we're starting to wrap up here, I do want to ask you, is there anything you wanted to talk about or anything you wanted to plug about your channel or anything else that you're doing going forward?
Well, speaking of platformers in general, I'm having to revisit Spyro 2.
Did Solid put you up to it?
Yes, he did.
Of course.
Freaking he decided to just say during his stream the other day, I wonder what it would be like if you and Captain Dark and Paul were to race Spyro 2.
Wait, are you going to do that together or are you going to try and do it separately?
Theoretically, we're supposed to try to do it together and maybe do it for charity.
Oh, that seems pretty crazy, but I mean, I'm sure you could do like co-streams and stuff.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing.
Yeah, and because that is something that you're good at doing is co-streaming with didn't you like co-stream with Dark and Captain, or I was about to say Captain Bud and Captain Dark with Stardew and stuff, because you talked about Stardew and
oh yeah. Dude, did you see the last time that I co-streamed with Bud? We were playing Phasmophobia.
Oh God, no.
We were it was me and Solid, and we were trying to introduce Bud to Phasmophobia.
Oh,
and then Charred Monk joined us.
Charred Monk knew about Phasmophobia, but Bud did not, right?
Okay. Bud did not, but Charred Monk is an expert at Phasmophobia.
Okay, because I've seen a couple of streams of it, and all I've really seen is it's kind of like...
It can be pretty spooky.
Okay. I mean, is it something that they change it all the time, or is it the same game over and over? Because that's what I don't understand.
They've been adding things to it pretty regularly. Like when it started, there were only a handful of different ghost types. And since the game started, they've added several locations to it.
Okay.
They've added more ghosts.
Sorry.
They've like right before Halloween, they added this campsite location.
Okay,
and
so
it is.
So it's kind of like Stardew, where it's constantly evolving and constantly changing. So even though you're in the same setting, you're always able to do different things and add to it, almost like
Yeah.
downloadable content.
And
Okay, I get it.
every time you play it, you have different goals to work towards. Like one of your goals might be to get a picture of the ghost, or one of them might be to find bone evidence of the ghost there, something like that.
Okay, so you're going to be doing co-streams with more people and doing all that fun stuff. Because what I've seen you do a lot is Sims, is Stardew, is Diablo. Like you're what I would consider, say, a variety streamer, but at the same time, you're like, hey, I want to play Mario today. Let me do that. Let me do a Legend of Zelda randomizer thing. Let me do Phasmophobia. Let me do whatever, So you have your own way of approaching a stream. And I do definitely appreciate that, because coming from somebody
the latest randomizer I've been doing is actually a Pokemon randomizer.
Oh yeah, because that was part of that Poke November thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It's I've been playing Leaf. I've been playing Fire Red, randomized, and it's been pretty fun.
Okay. So yeah, if people are interested in chatting with LeighClipse or anything going on, you can visit her at LeighClipse on Twitch. And do you have a YouTube, or is that something you were going to do or thinking about doing?
Really, I have a YouTube channel like so many other people out there, but I haven't really done anything with it yet.
Well,
but there's always later.
Okay. Anything else you want to let fans know about before we head off today, or?
I do also have a Discord server for anybody who follows my Twitch channel. There's a link to my Discord server directly on my Twitch page.
Okay.
So if you want to chat with me more, that would probably be the best place to do it, because I'm constantly in Discord.
Which can be a very good thing, because sometimes we're not always on, and sometimes we need a break.
Especially lately, because I'm actually a mom. I'm not just a Twitch streamer. I'm a mom, and I constantly have to do things like that have to do with my kids.
Well, and again, I think as a thing to sign us off, that is something to be respected, because I am not somebody who deals with kids. I don't deal with family. So it is nice to know somebody who does and can get that perspective on things, because you play different games than I do or do different things than I do. But you also have that, like, I have that responsibility to my family. That is something I respect more than anything.
You.
And again, I think for anybody who is a fan of any of the games we've talked about today or wants to know about these games, Leigh is the person to talk to. And like I said, of all the people that I know, I think you were like my best friend, I suppose, like in that world, right? And it has been a few years, and even now I'm just like, I don't think YouTubing or streaming would have been as fun without your help, and I've always appreciated that. So I did want to say that before we signed off today.
Thank you.
And once again, this was Super Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World with LeighClipse. Check her out on Twitch next time you get a chance. Definitely follow her. She's an amazing streamer, and like she said, she has a lot of hats, and she definitely wears them all with pride. But that will do it for us today. And this is Citizen Strife, signing off.